How come a local banner dispute has turned into a national law and order challenge? What is this I Love Muhammad controversy about? Is it about freedom of expression or it is a public order challenge? Our nation is not just known for its unity in diversity, it is also known for its constitutional provisions, how it safeguards its own country, and as of now, a local banner dispute related to a particular religion has led to a nationwide law and order dispute. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to understand one very simple thing, that how a local banner dispute where it was just claiming where it was just professing its love for the religion, its love for its prophet, led to a nationwide law and order situation where there are crackdowns, there are lathi charges, there is politics going around it, and there is also involvement of youth. So how this has emerged, let us understand that story and also look into that, is it actually just freedom of expression that is being curbed, or actually it is an issue of law and order situation which needs to be maintained. So let us start by understanding what exactly has unfolded and what exactly has happened in this particular situation where it has originated. So our story begins in Kanpur during the Barwafat's procession that was taking place. Organizers displayed a simple banner saying, I love Muhammad. Now this banner was felt by certain groups that this is a new tradition. अब ऐसा कई groups को लगा कि एक नया tradition है और उससे वो काफी uncomfortable feel कर रहे थे, और कई लोगों को लगा it is just professing love and connectivity to the religion. Initially, police tried to calm the situation in a very peaceful manner, but यहाँ पर जो protest था और जो ग्रुप्स को लग रहा था कि ये एक नया ट्रेडिशन स्टार्ट किया जा रहा है और यहाँ पे रिलीजन को एक दूसरे डायरेक्शन में ले जाने की कोशिश की जा रही है, उसकी वजह से द मैटर वेंट आउट ऑफ हैंड्स. नाउ द मैटर वेंट आउट ऑफ हैंड्स, दैट इज व्हेन FIRs were registered and police mediation failed there, and that was the initial point where we saw disturbance of harmony. Now after that social harmony being disturbed, इस पूरे इंसिडेंट का एक स्पिल ओवर जो है हमें देखने को मिला. यहाँ पर टेंशन्स जो है बढ़ गई, जिसकी वजह से FIR तो हुई थी, कम्युनल हार्मनी डिस्टर्ब हुई थी, एंड जस्ट आफ्टर दैट ये जो न्यूज है, द बैनर and the reaction associated with it spread across the states such as Uttarakhand, Maharashtra, Telangana, and people started organizing rallies in the pro-movement of the banner. People started organizing rallies and protests against the slogan, that is counter slogans, and that is when situation started going out of hand because authorities had to intervene so that the law and order can be maintained. We also saw temporary internet shutdowns in some districts, and this basically highlight that when sensitive matters are up in the air, a small local dispute can also become a nationwide law and order situation which we are seeing at hand. But the main question comes in here, that why this has happened? What led to this flare up? So the first reason this flare up was that one party believes that this is basic freedom of expression. One side believes that this is basic freedom of expression, which is their very fundamental right, but the other side talks about that how it is also about law and order, how it is also about maintaining public order. Now let us try to understand this whole distinction that we have. So if we talk about freedom of expression, we have it in Article 19, and Article 19A explicitly talks about that how people can express ideas, slogans and banners. But here's the tricky part. That is this just about expressing devotion, or at some point did it cross the line into disturbing the public order? Constitutionally, as we have seen, everyone has the right to express themselves, including devotion through slogans and banners. But there are limits which can cause unrest, and that is why we have placed limits in our fundamental rights as well, where Article 2 talks about the limits which are allowed on the basis of public order and morality. Similarly, if we talk about Article 25, it guarantees religious freedom, but again, this must not harm the public order in itself. And that is why we also have, by Supreme Court, we have a basic understanding, a basic test which courts generally use to understand the limit on expression, that is basically discussion, advocacy and protected, incitement restricted. So that means the idea is to profess or discuss or advocate, that is fine, that we will keep protected. But if the idea is to provoke violence, that is not allowed and that will be restricted. So in this situation, the very fine line between provocation and expression might have been treaded in between, that all led up to this boil up that we see in front of us. Now furthermore, there is a clear criminal law angle also involved. For example, if we talk about IPC 153A and 505, it talk about enmity and mischief, but now we have Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Based on that, it is very simple that there should be a clear proof of intention, that what was the reason of the particular action. So if there is some sort of expression, even if it's of devotion, the intent needs to be clear that it was not related to incitement or provocation, it was merely, but the point is there is no time to actually take rounds of this. Now in between this lies the clear answer that how it spread for so fast, and that too beyond the state itself. That means the original question that we started with, that how a simple local banner dispute became a headline across the nation, law and order debate, public order issue. And this simply can be credited to directly social media here, because it has played a huge role in spreading the information as well as misinformation, where videos, messages were spread almost instantly. Identity politics also came in. One community slogan was triggering reactions from another, causing counter mobilization. And then you have to add in the historical grievances that the religions have had, the past tension. And when we are talking about such small events, they can obviously escalate given the historical background. So here we get to see that social media played an important role, where one slogan from one community became a counter slogan for other communities, and then an identity contest for the religion came into practice. And the drivers of this whole spread, this communication, was not just social media, it was political amplification as well, and the historical context that sits between the main religions was also playing a huge role. Apart from social media, we also got to see a huge role of the media and other platforms, where there were toolkits and misinformation which were properly worsening the situation, worsening and heightening the tensions. Furthermore, political statements that came in, that also amplified the narrative. And when we are talking about police briefings, they were the only help in the direction of controlling the rumors. Furthermore, there was also a federalism angle involved. That means the situation was going out of hand, because the containment was not decided in which particular foray it lies. Because when we are talking about law and order, that is a state subject. Can you tell me the schedule in which the subjects and list union subject, state subject, and then we have concurrent subject, where they are listed? Which schedule is that? But because state protest is not happening in one single state, it is happening in multiple states. That means this is where interstate coordination comes in. Proper SOPs, frameworks, advisory are required, and in such short span to draw it out was also difficult. So it was not just social media amplifying it, it was also involvement of media, political angle, identity politics, historical background, but also failure of administration to work in and address it in time, so that the tensions could be contained and at least the rumors, the misinformation could be contained. And that is why it becomes important to learn the lessons today, so that in coming times such flare up can be easily controlled. Now let us look into the ways that such flare-ups can be controlled. For example, if you are talking about processions, the routes and permissions should be fixed in advance. There should be no such announcements which are basically changing the address traditions. There should be proper policing tools that should have been discussed already. For example, a proper mediation between the community leaders, so that even if there is some treading between the lines, that can be managed through dialogue itself. Apart from that, if we talk about internet shutdowns, that was also used this time, but this is not the most ideal way, because that is when we are talking about curbing the freedom of expression in a different way. So if we look at Anuradha Bhasin case, we have to understand that has given the procession that it can be used, but it should be only used in a necessary, proportionate manner and in a time-bound manner. That means it cannot be done indefinitely. And then the most important part, that there remains a challenge for police, that they have to and they should be neutral no matter how big the political or the community pressure is, because that will be the most important point to prevent escalation and especially avoid the overreach, which is against the fundamentals of our due procedure that is followed for law. Now that we have understood that what reasons led to this flare up and what can be done, now let us move ahead and understand another important constitutional aspect. It becomes all the more important to understand such issues because we have seen similar patterns in the past where local temples or mosques have had disputes which have gone viral on social media and have created nationwide tensions. Now I will leave this with a question for you. What do you think that can be done so as to ensure such flare-ups are controlled? Because this is not just about a banner in Kanpur, it is definitely about freedom, it is definitely about religion, it is about public order and how all of this interacts in our country. And most importantly, how newer things like social media are preying and changing the narratives that have been set over ages. Now, I will leave you with a practice question. You can put down the answers in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.